Hello, welcome to Dundrell's podcast. I'm your host, Justin. So, I finally watched The Northman, which was directed by Robert Eggers. This is like his third film. This originally came out in April 22nd, still in theaters, alright? And it stars Alexander Skarsgard as Amleth, Anya Taylor Joy as Olga, Bjork as the Sorceress, Nicole Kidman as Queen Gudrun, William Dafoe as Hymir the Fool, and Ethan Hawke as King Avrindel, War Raven. Doesn't show who the uncle is, right? So yeah, I gotta say, man, I was pretty hyped for this film, and it pretty much blew me away, even with some of the spoilers people put out there in their non-spoiler reviews. I still enjoyed the film because they stated their nonsense spoilers, because it's like, yeah, there was like I was spoiled that there was incest in the film, and that was BS. That was complete garbage. The quote Jonathan Franks, a complete fabrication. Nonsense. Our team of writers made it up. Which is like, thank God, man, thank God. So the movie, I know a lot of people are like, this is Norse mythology, blah blah blah, but really, this movie owes a lot to Conan the Barbarian by Robert E. Howard, because you get hit with the Conan references and homages right away. One, you got the movie starts off with a monologue by a guy who kind of sounds like Mako, the narrator of the first Conan film. You got like the whole, like, I know it's a very similar story, and this is based off of Norse mythology, Scandinavian tale called Amleth, which was apparently the inspiration for Hamlet, which I was going to, when I couldn't go see this film like 2 months ago, I was going to watch Hamlet. with Mel Gibson, right? But I couldn't understand half the shit they were saying in that film. Yeah, so the story is basically, you have this young prince of some Scandinavian country, I can't remember which, right? Whose father comes home from war. He's injured. He's worried he's gonna die soon, right? Well, he actually wants to die in battle, but like, yeah, he's worried he's gonna get killed, get got soon. So he prepares his son with this ritual where they get high, and pretend to be wolves. And William Dafoe, Hymir the Fool, gives him this prophecy, and his father tells him, "Hey, if I get got, you gotta avenge me. you gotta avenge your boy." Right? Which unfortunately does happen. His uncle, who turns out to be a bastard, kills his brother, which is the king, and tries to kill Amleth when he's a kid, right? Where there's a funny scene where like this guy catches him, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill you slow," and then like he cuts his nose off, right? And then the guy with no nose goes to like the uncle. So yeah, I killed the kid. He's in the water. I drowned him, right? And that's where he does his escape. He escapes to Russia, which is called Rus, and he is part of this band of berserkers who wear wolf hides that attack and sack villages, do some sacrifices, and then and sell slaves. He finds out they're selling slaves to Fjölnir, his uncle, and before that he had like this trippy, like a lot of cool trippy visions in the movie, very psychedelic visions for people who enjoy that. and that he gets told by Bjork, hey, you have to avenge your father or live in shame for the rest of his life. So he masquerades himself as a slave, meets up with Anya Taylor Joy's character, who's a Russian witch. They get this romance together. They go to to Iceland, where his uncle's there with his firstborn son, and he had a kid with Nicole Kidman's character, right? And our main character gets to know them better. He even saves his half brother's life during a game they have with another village, right? They have their own they have like this weird version of like crow. I don't know what like they play this sport with sticks and a ball, and I'm not exactly sure like what. I guess crochet would be like the closest comparison, but you have people getting beat up and killed during this game, right? So yeah, he starts to get this relationship going with his family members, though he's like a slave, right? And like he has this relationship with the one slave, Olga, right? But eventually he does decide to go continue his pledge of vengeance. He gets a magic sword, right, called a what was it called? Nightblade, which he took from like a zombie, a corpse, just like how like Conan the Barbarian found the Atlantean blade in that tomb. He finds the sword Nightblade, right, and he even has a fight with the zombie, right, which straight up reminded me of Skyrim. I think they even called the fucking thing like a Draugr, which is what the zombies are called in like Skyrim, which obviously Skyrim took inspiration from like, you know, this. But like, yeah, I gotta say, I love the movie. There's even this awesome scene where they have the volcano erupt, and the final battle is between our character naked fighting his uncle with a sword and shield at night while this volcano is erupting. It's fucking amazing. Amazing fight. I know a lot of people like complain about the fighting in this film, that there's not a lot of fight choreography. I'm kind of fine with the way he fights, that he just powers through everybody, because he's a berserker, right? So that's kind of how they fight, right? And then there's the fact that if you were ever a fan of HEMA, right, which is historical European martial arts, they're unlike with like, you know, a lot of European fighting styles. There are no ancient like fighting manuals on how, like, you know, the Norse the Vikings fought. So like people just go based off their weapons and stuff to figure out, okay, how do they fight? Unlike with medieval knights and like fencers, European fencers, there's no ancient fighting manuals on how these guys fought, right? So I kind of don't have a problem with him just like powering through like foes, right? Especially since they established, hey, the guy's a berserker, right? Which, if you're like this movie is more like a fantasy movie really than like it is like a historical like drama, because there's like a lot of awesome like scenes here where like there's a scene where like our main character howls at night with the Arctic wolves or whatever, Arctic foxes and whatever, and it drives the dogs in the camp mad, and they have to like the dogs attack the people, and they had to kill their own dogs, which was, as a dog owner, not a huge fan of that, right? And I also didn't know, I knew that, like, you know, when the Viking nobles like died, they would like sacrifice their some of their favorite slaves to serve them in the afterlife, right? Kind of like how the Egyptians did that. I didn't know they also did that to their horses. So there's like a scene where they kill the dude's horse, beheaded, and I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. Also, the movie's very gory, and there's some nudity in the film, right? There's like a scene where like the slaves have this party, and they all like fuck in the woods. Holy shit, right? Yeah, which that was a funny scene, right? Also, the music is pretty good. The music, if you've ever listened to Hell Young, or however you pronounce it, that's pretty much the same like music you're hearing, where like a lot of drum beats, people howling, and like, you know, throat singing, right? So like, yeah, a lot of that, like a lot of Hell Young music in the movie, which makes me wonder, like, if some of the people who were singing the movie were like the people from Hell Young. Who the fuck knows? They're always like, they LARP as Vikings, and they're super dirty, so they could have been like the people from the movie, and I wouldn't know. Yeah, so if I were to give this movie a rating, it's probably like an 8 out of 10. There is a slow period in the movie, but yeah, I barely felt the 2 hours and 17 minute like runtime, man. The movie was a fun ride, and this movie will probably be in my top 10 for this year. Especially since I can't think of any other movie I've watched so far that I would even consider putting in my top 10, right? Because like, yeah, not a lot of great movies this year, like just a lot, bit average, but like, yeah, fuck, man, this movie is probably going to be in my top 10, maybe even the top 3. I highly recommend this movie, and yeah, go check it out. Maybe while it's still in theaters, right? But I'm sure it's gonna be, well, I don't know. Usually, what, like 3 months? They usually, after its initial release, they usually put it on VOD. But the movie's still playing in theaters, so I don't know if it's like another month or what. But yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, it's pretty good, I gotta say. Especially if you're a fan of like Vinland Saga or Conan the Barbarian, you're gonna enjoy this movie. All right, guys, peace.